Joe Biden wants to install 500,000 electric vehicle charging cords across the country by the year 2030. It's a move that could cost over $5 billion. But what will it take to actually make that happen? Bloomberg Business Week corporate strategy reporter Kyle Stock joins us now from Wyoming with more on Biden's plan for electric vehicles. Kyle, it's great to have you on Quick Take today. One of the biggest hurdles facing electric vehicles is prospective drivers' fear there actually won't be enough places to charge up, the idea of so-called range anxiety, right? So just how ambitious is this move to try to handle the issue?
Yeah, it kind of got lost in the election because obviously everyone was talking about the pandemic and the economy, but it is a big deal. It's very ambitious, and the EV crowd, from automakers to private charging networks to utilities, are all very charged up about this proposal. They're really excited about it. So, just for perspective, there are at the moment about 90,000 electric vehicle charging plugs in the country.
So this would just be a huge increase.
Yeah, roughly a five-fold increase. And to date, these networks have largely been built by the private sector. And because of that, the U.S. trails China and Europe quite drastically. We're sort of a very distant third when it comes to charging infrastructure. And like you said, it's one of the major hurdles to drivers buying an EV now. It used to be range anxiety, but that's no longer really the case. These new electric vehicles, most of them go 200, 300, 350 miles on a charge. So it's really charge anxiety now. So people are worried where they're going to charge, how long it'll take, how they can kind of piece it together into their lives with what they do with their car day to day. So it is a big deal. If they can get it done.
I wonder though about this idea of the chicken and egg problem here, Kyle, and the idea that people aren't buying electric vehicles because they're concerned that there aren't enough places to charge them for road trips, but companies saying, well, we're not going to build the chargers right now because there aren't enough electric vehicles on the road. So how could this plan from the Biden administration actually help push electric car sales in the United States?
Yeah, and it is a chicken and egg thing. I mean, the economics on these stations is still very tricky to pencil. You need a density of vehicles, or else you're losing money on the station. The stations are costly to put in, so the networks like to try to stay a little bit ahead of the market and build out ahead of it. But at the same time, they're running for-profit businesses, and there's only so much they can take on the front end. But where it does, where things can click is if the public sector comes in at least partially, and I think that's what we'll see from the Biden team in this proposal, basically to sort of subsidize part of the cost or smooth the way for some of these stations in places where they don't make economic sense yet. So you're looking at rural interstate corridors mainly, and dense urban areas with a lot of apartment buildings where people might not have garages to charge up. For places like that, an EV is still kind of a non-starter. People can't consider it. So there's kind of a model with the Volkswagen Dieselgate settlement. So a big chunk of that money has been filtered out to the states, and each state is using much of it for charging. So they put out a bid, and then some of these private networks bid on the business, build a station, get some of the revenue, and they kind of make the ends meet in the middle. So I think that's what we'll see from Biden, and that's kind of policy-wise what people are saying makes the most sense here.
Okay, so from a policy perspective, this is how it's shaping out. But Kyle, what about when it comes to that tricky part of actually getting it through Congress, especially if Republicans hold on to the Senate majority, winning those seats in January in Georgia? How does Biden pull this off then?
Yeah, I mean, there's some card tricks he can do. It's a $5 billion figure. Some of that can come out of agency budgets. They can do some kind of loan guarantees, some sort of things that wouldn't require appropriations. But to get anywhere near that 500,000 charger figure, they're going to need Congress. But there is some hope, some talk that infrastructure in general is lends itself more to bipartisan cooperation. It's less politically charged. And then, on the state level, if you're a senator in the Dakotas or Oklahoma or, much of the heartland where some of the charging hasn't really trickled out yet, you might be on board for something like this. So we'll see what he can do and how hard he pushes for it. Obviously, I think he's probably got other priorities right now, but some of the EV people I speak to are optimistic that this is something that both sides of the aisle can get together on.
Bloomberg's Kyle Stock joining us from beautiful Jackson, Wyoming. Thanks so much for your time today. Great to have you on.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.